Hey everyone, welcome back to the Hun Club podcast, the product briefing show. I'm Tiff, product marketing manager at Vectra AI, and today I'm joined by Gearóid Ó Fearghaíl, our senior group product manager at Vectra AI, to talk about threat hunting. Gearóid, do you want to quickly say hi first?
Hey everyone, nice to meet you.
Awesome. So, yes, we want to talk about threat hunting, and let's actually start with why should security teams even threat hunt?
Yeah, absolutely. Threat hunting is really valuable because it gives you an understanding of what's in your environment. You
Yeah,
learn about what there is. You learn
yeah.
what's normal. You learn your day to day. It means that when you go in, and let's say you have something that could be an incident, you have an alert, and it's an activity, and you are looking at this activity, and oh, there's actually 200 SMB shares out of this server. Is that bad? If you have proactively threat hunted, you might know, oh yeah, within this specific subnet, every day there's a backup system which basically does 1,000 file shares every day. And if you've been able to get ahead of that, then you'll know that answer in advance.
Yeah.
The IBM cost of breach report this year specifically spoke to how it is a good factor that significantly reduces the impact of any breach. I think the number
Yeah.
they used was around 50 grand saved. Is that right?
I think it's 190K actually dollars
Overall.
reduced on the cost of the data breach. And I think besides understanding more about your environment, it's also for some compliance reason as well. Like we've been speaking to different threat hunters and they've been actively looking, like managed to find compliance violation in organization's environment through threat hunting, some outdated browsers or even, like legacy tools that shouldn't happen in the environment. And these can actually have business damage for an organizations if during an audit they find these and there could be implication about fines and all that. So yeah, totally threat hunting, proactive, hardening your security posture, even to unlock some of these compliance insights. Yeah. So then now we know that it's important to threat hunt. What are the challenge in threat hunting that security teams face all the time from our conversation with customers?
It's always a question of visibility and time. I think the visibility problem is fundamental. Like you can get, for the first place, getting the data is very hard. Like being able to actually see what's happening, being able to see across every single process and every single system, every single connection that's going on, every single SharePoint interaction. It's either you have no data and you just don't even know, you can't get access to anything, or you might have, say, firewall logs, you might have some like PCAP storage solution, and you're in an ocean of data and you don't actually know where to start. If you're in a very dark room, you can't see anything. If you're in a blindingly bright room, you also
Yeah.
can't see anything. It's about
Yeah.
being able to actually distinguish insights. And that's pretty challenging. Fundamentally, if you have infinite time, you can go regardless of what you have. But a lot of it comes down to being able to actually set aside the time and say, I'm going to do some proactive threat hunting.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's, the visibility points that you mentioned, not everyone has the right data to look at, to even start threat hunting. And we've also heard, even though they have the data, they are scattered in 5 different tools. So it takes time to stitch them together, find them, and they're not even in, they're siloed basically. And then ultimately it's a time point that you talked about, not having the resource, and they might not even know how to start, like skills. Yeah. So
Yeah.
from these
Like,
challenge, then how does Vectra AI help security teams with threat hunting?
of course. So Vectra AI doesn't just give logs, doesn't just give data. We give insights. We give you opinionated view into the full network activity. Let's say you're in that desert, you've got no access. You plug in the Vectra sensor, you add in the Vectra connector to your cloud source. Suddenly you can see everything. If we have a correctly configured system, if it's not in our metadata logs, it didn't happen. We parse out not just the connections between IPs and ports, we also do deep packet inspection to say, oh, this is not just that it's port 80, so it's HTTP. We actually look at the activity and we say, even if this is on port 12 or port 486 or whatever, we still say, and those are bad ports to use because those are actually actively used for other services and some random port number. We'll parse it and we'll say, oh, this is HTTP traffic, and we'll give you the details of that HTTP activity. If we see SMB, regards to the port, so we're giving you, hey, look, this is what we have. And then you suddenly have an ocean of data and it's very exciting. But also, obviously, you're back into blindingly inundated with data. So we actually parse it all and we say, look, even though this IP address has changed, even though this is a random rotating IP, and even though 10 servers have had this IP, we're tracking every single host by artifacts from Kerberos, DHCP, EDR where relevant. And we can say, actually, at this host, we had that IP at this time. Now is this IP, but this is the host name. And you can track all of the activity for that across everything. It's our agentic AI stitching, and it streamlines the whole process completely. So Vectra was not just giving you data, we're giving you insights.
Yeah. And as you said, metadata is unique in a way that it AI enhanced, as you said, with host, like linking the ID together and then account names with giving you the original compromised account names instead of really long string of character ID as well. And also we give you the metadata AI enhanced, but it's also all in one place. So you don't need to pivot from different tools. You can immediately look them up in the same platform. We provide you with a very simple hunting experience. And we also give you some pre-built queries to start, right? Based on our security research, seeing what is happening in the wild, what should security teams care about. We do provide these kind of quick start guides so that you can build it into your workflow, carve out 5 minutes per week to start understanding more about your environment, right?
That's exactly it. Vectra is now giving guides, assistance, 5-minute hunting. If every analyst can spend 5 minutes a week just learning a little bit more about their environment, then they will be in a much better position in the event of any future incident.
All right, so let's have a look at what this looks like in the platform. Can you give everyone
Absolutely.
a quick demo?
Sure, of course. So this is our Investigate platform. This is where we show the correlated view of every single piece of metadata we have across all of our different data sources, cloud, identity, and network, and across all the different data streams that we have, DNS records, DHCP, Kerberos, Radius, SMB file activity, even certificate activity. But you want to do a threat hunt and you come in, you're like, great, if you know what questions you ask, just go and ask them. If you're not sure, here's this week's 5-minute hunt. SMB file sharing of sensitive files. This is a nice little jumping off point. I don't think everyone's fully, we don't often think about what SMB is, but this is the act of using the underlying file transfer protocol within the server to share things around. And frequently, files with secrets are actually shared over this environment. This is bad practice, obviously, but also it can be abused by attackers by finding, say, key pass database files, secrets that are being shared around. We give you a quick query that looks through it, finds any matching files, and then you are able to actually look into it. And in this case, what we're doing for you is we're telling you, hey, this is something you should be worried about. We're telling you this is what we're looking for. This is how you see it. And then we tell you, most importantly, if you do find some matches, what do you do? Investigate the system, determine if it is authorized, review access control policies, alert or contain it. That's this week's one. It's pretty interesting. Jumping on, we also obviously have our historical ones. I think this is maybe another interesting one, which is JA4 unique pairings. So JA4 is a very interesting fingerprinting technology against SSL activity. Effectively, this says for every single SSL interaction, it has a fingerprint. We get that fingerprint and we actually, Vectra enriches every single one of our activity with JA4. And actually just recently with JA4, we only launched this when we recorded the demo the same day, which means that we haven't got any historical activity. So we're going to show you JA4, but there is JA4 as well. But we're able to just see the least frequent combinations of activity. Why would you want to look at least frequent ones? Because knowing which ones are the most infrequent can give you insight into things that are happening infrequently to find unique services. So I think this is pretty interesting. I'm actually just going to go and launch query. And all I do is I click the button and I'm given a pre-existing powerful SQL-based query that I can run. And it just tells me exactly what's going on. In this case, I can see it's got my JAS3S, the most recent server name that was used, and it's ordering in an ascending order. So I can see here, these two, JAS3 and JAS3S, only happened once. They were against this miniman.voltec. And now, obviously, this is a demo. There's obviously, for lack of a better word, idiosyncrasies in this system. But right now I'm like, what's going on here? I'm surprised to see these servers. I actually would go through each one of these and just quickly check against, like, so say any JAS3 database and see what are these known. Maybe it's a malware or something like that. But I can go through these, quickly learn. I might actually even just update this query to remove where JAS3 is not null. I might even just, it's like really easy to update because SQL isn't too hard. But I'm actually just going to remove items where one of the signatures or fingerprints is null. And I can get an even smaller number. I can look through these to find the examples I'm interested in. And I did something wrong there, but I'm just never do live SQL, kids. But I can look through the data. I can see what's going on. I can learn a bit more. I can go back and I can say, what do I do with the results? Find it in the book repository, pivot into related logs to build context around communication if I find anything interesting. Look at the endpoints actually using this. And even if you were able to check in the or see, well, what was using that port, what process was using that port at that time. And if I find anything malicious, great, let's block that. Most of the time, I would say it's probably expected, but I'd even baseline pairings that I see that are actually, no, this is fine, or this JAS3 is normal. I'm just going to save this for future use. I'm going to remove that from my query because I know what it is. And I work through from that.
Yeah.
But that's it.
How everything is very explainable. There's reasons why we think this is important for you. What is the security implication? And then you can just, with one click, you can launch the query and search that within your environment. You can, if it's SQL, great. You can make some customization. You can even write your own to start a new search. But then if you don't, that's okay too, because we have these pre-built for you. And we also have a bunch of other examples in our library too, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we have a number of interesting files available here. Say, for example, outbound NTLM, and another example in here. We're always sharing insights that we find for customers to be able to see. Yeah, exactly that. It's all about helping you guys, giving you the jumping off points where you can start from with this.
Yeah. And I think what it really matters for a security team is that this helps them understand more about your environment, and also it helps you to kickstart threat hunting, build it into your workflow. And ultimately, we want to help you proactively reduce some of the risk in your environment as well, or even in some case, again, finding any compliance violations.
Exactly that. Yeah, exactly. And we have a new threat hunt that goes out every Tuesday.
Awesome. Great. So stay tuned. If you want to learn more about this query, make sure you check it out in our platform. We will also be publishing some more threat hunting content to support you with different use cases. So stay tuned about that. And thank you for joining me, Gearóid, and thank you for tuning in as well, who's listening. And let us know what you think in our comments box below. And make sure you check out our other content as well. With that, let's wrap this up. And thank you so much, everyone. Hope to see you in the next one.